So in high school, when did college coaches start reaching out to you?
College coaches started reaching out to me. Never. I still haven't had one reach out to me to this day. So how I got in contact with college coaches was going to camps. Like I never had a phone call where it's like, hey, this is Coach Urban Meyer at Florida. Hey, this is Coach Bobby Bow from Florida State. I never had that, and I still play Division I. So I want people to know that I wasn't gonna lie to y'all and say, yeah, I had coaches hit me up, this and that. No, never the case. Still not the case to this day. But my first contact with the coaches was, I would say, just seeing them. So my ninth grade year, we had an offensive lineman that was a real big recruit, and I would always see recruits coming into the school. So they wasn't there for me, but I could see them coming. I was like, I think I can have that. I think I can interact with these people. I think I have what it takes. At the time I freshman year, I'm 5'1", I'm not even 100 pounds yet. So that was my first contact. Then once I got into my junior year, that's the first contact I had with a coach. It was actually a defensive back coach at a camp at Georgia Southern. I don't remember his name, but he just applauded, my effort. Like I wasn't getting tired. I was running around. He said I was playing like my hair was on fire. But we had another defensive back that he wanted more than me. He was a Super 11 defensive back. If I was a coach, I would also want this kid more than the kid I was. He was a physical specimen, real physical, wasn't scared to hit. So around this time, you can consider this like my contact with coaches, but I kind of understood that's never going to be my story, all right? I'm not going to be the guy with a bunch of letters. I'm not going to be the guy with a bunch of phone calls. I see the guys who have it, and I see myself. So taking a look at myself in the mirror, I didn't really possess what they were looking for or what they painted the picture as a Division I athlete might look like or be like. So what I began to do is I applied to every school in Florida, University of Florida, South Florida, Florida International, UF, UCF, and then I started looking at the websites and trying to break down how much it costs because I felt like any scholarship offer I would get may be a school I didn't really want to go to, which ultimately ended up being the case. But I started communicating with a coach named Gary Nord. He was the offensive coordinator at FAU. He called me and he offered me what's called the PWO deal. That's preferred walk-on. So if you can count that, that would be in the spring. I was during the baseball season of my senior year. They called me while I was at Grad Bash and said, you got accepted. We got a spot for you at Florida Atlantic if you want to take it. So yeah, it was that had to be like April 2007.
So what other schools offered you? I know you were saying that schools that you particularly want to go to, but what schools were they?
It was a school called St. Augustine University. Is it St. Augustine? It's St. Augustine College or University. It's a historical black college in Raleigh, North Carolina. And Edward Waters gave me a scholarship offer in baseball. So I loved Edward Waters, but I didn't want to stay home. All right. And St. Augustine, I didn't like anything about it. Like the players had to buy their own cleats and stuff like that. And that just wasn't what I envisioned college football to be. I had a few baseball offers, a brief little communication with FAMU. It was a late push right there. And St. Leo University in St. Leo, Florida. So when it came to it, I had to talk with my dad. I actually got in some heated debates about this too. So I talked to my dad and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go to St. Aug, they offer, I can go up there and play. And I'm knowing in my heart I don't really like it, but that whole signing day thing really meant a lot to me. If you ever see pictures of me at signing day, you'll see me with the suit on, but I didn't sign anything. I got dressed. I thought I would go through with that St. Augustine deal. And my father, I was 17, so I couldn't sign myself away. My mother wouldn't answer the phone for whatever reason. And my dad was like, I'm not signing off on this. I think you're better than that. I think you're better than that. So in my mind, I just said, okay, I could go to these schools, but I'm better than that. So I put it in my mind, if I'm better than this, I have a lot to do to prove it. So I remember a question asked about like my high school work ethic, like my workout routines. And I would reach out to people and just get ready to go into this Division I battlefield, or what I consider Division I battlefield, because I would have a lot to prove every day, constantly, over and over and over again. So yeah, that was, I don't regret any of that. Those were good opportunities. They kind of fit me for who I was as a player. A lot of players will come up here and be like, yeah, the coach didn't like me. They had some kind of carried issue against me. That wasn't me. Like I personally wouldn't have recruited myself to go play for the Gators or the Gamecocks or the Bulldogs or Kentucky. Like no, like that just wasn't what it was at the time. Yet on the back end, around my sophomore year, I was ready to play against them, and it took me actually playing against Texas. So I'm on the field with these guys. I see the lineman. I'm coming up making tackles. Like I'm like, yeah, you see my highlight tape. You see me making plays against Nebraska, South Carolina. Louisiana Lafayette, North Texas. So we had some mid-majors, but we always started the season off with Power 5 teams. So at that point, I was able to conceive the idea, like, I actually belong here. That person who I thought I was, I'm him now. Like, now is the time to really be that person on and off the field.
So coming into camp, like, what's it like for a preferred walk-on? Like, you're not on a scholarship, you're not on nobody's really saying, hey, we really want you to, other than the fact that you're a preferred walk-on. What's it like being one of those guys?
For me, it was like a nothing to lose situation. So I was able to really let my hair down and just play ball, because it's like, if I suck, then, they didn't expect nothing out of me anyway. So it's like nothing to lose. I can come in here, just really lock in and like focus. So I felt absolutely no pressure whatsoever. So with the recruited guys, when they coming in, coaches know their names. If you miss a play, we didn't bring you in here. We're not spending $40,000. Like, that was never the case for me. So everything for me was an upside. So from the very first time I made a good play, and it was a block punt. Very first time I made a play in practice, I blocked the punt during a scout team, and coach yelled at the person who was supposed to block me. He was a scholarship cornerback. He was a redshirt junior. And he was actually way better than me. Just at the time, he didn't want to be on punt block team. But all DBs are always going to be on all special teams. So they fire him up. Yeah, you let this little walk-on pitch, we block our punt, man, you better tighten up. All right. So we lined it back up, did it again, blocked the punt again. So at that point, that's when they knew, all right, who is this guy with number 17 on? Let's find out a little bit more about him. And let's see if we can get him involved in the special teams action. So most of my introduction to getting playing time was special teams action, which was new to me, because in high school, I was not like a dominant starter, but nobody really looked forward to being on the hands team or a field goal block unit, punt return team. It's almost like special teams is like overlooked, but when you get into the essence of the game of football, special teams is a whole third of the game, like flipping the field, blocking kicks, blocking punts, pinning people in. All of that will contribute to your offense and defense to help you win games. So whenever they offered me that opportunity, I found it to be easier. It's not really assignment football, When you're a cornerback, you got deep thirds, you gotta, make sure you protect your third. If it's man coverage, play with your inside leverage. With kickoff team, it's like, there's the ball, run in your lane, go find it. Anybody got a different color jersey on, you hit them. So I was able to get those reps without having to be in my head so much. So once I got those reps, that's when it moves on. And I always encourage freshman DBs when I, train them now. I tell them, you're gonna be on special teams. All right, you might be a starter, you might not. I don't really think 18-year-old DBs out of high school, with the exception of a few, can come in and prepare NFL, not prepare, but come in and, cover NFL-ready receivers. They know too much about releases. They know too much about spacing. And it's not making you like less of a player, but this guy has been playing the college game for 3 or 4 years. And in our position, the first receiver I had to cover was Jordan Shipley, playing for Texas. Yeah, so getting off, man. Getting off, bro. Like, getting loose. And it's different route combinations, the O-line. And that was the biggest difference for us between FAU and Texas. Their linemen were just so much bigger. And, he was able to buy them some time. And Jordan Shipley had quite a few seconds to get open and find his way in the back of the zone and things of that nature. But he went on to play in the NFL. Him and Quan Cosby, he played in the NFL as well. The best receiver I played in college, I played against Antonio Brown, all right? And he was pretty good. But the guy who really had me like, we don't have an answer for this dude is Eric Decker. Eric Decker, he was a big, like, white receiver from Minnesota. And the part I remember him dominating the most in, and this is what you got to tell football players about the whole game, on running plays, he was trying to pancake somebody every play. Like, every play. If he got his hands on the safety, he's trying to pancake you, like, every play. So when he's coming off the ball to release, you might freeze up and try to prepare to block him, and then he'll slip you. He went for like eight catches, 156 yards, 2 touchdowns, something like that. Like, he went off on us. No, no. Him and Sue was the two most like players. Was like, coach, we don't know what you want us to do. Like, you know, it's just what it is. Like, Sue, out of Nebraska, yeah. So he was a technician. When I learned he played soccer when he was a kid, that's where you get that big mixture. You know, being that big and having that footwork. And then he was just a dominant football. He was on the Heisman watch after he played us from D tackle. Yeah, like, really.
Okay,